Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Business and Buds Show. Pat Hilton here with the legend, Lauren Batemen, in the house. How are you, Lauren?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me here, Pat.
Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time to join us and the members of our community watching live on Facebook. She is a guitar instructor extraordinaire, a YouTube master. And I don't know anybody personally that has any more views or subscribers than you. So I call you the master. She is a guru, and she's going to be talking to us about how she took her brick and mortar business and turned it digital and is now having huge months. She's using the Kajabi platform with great success. And so we're going to talk about all that and more on the Business and Buds Show. Welcome to the Business and Buds Show. You know it's time. Start thinking like a winner when you get online. Streaming audio and video to get you primed for a future of success, a life you design. Business and Buds is the online show for people who want to learn about creating a thriving business and a thriving network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business and Buds Show. Lauren knows how we do it with the fancy beats and shit because she's on our clubhouse.
I was over here.
Yeah. I had to adapt. And that's a lot of what we're talking about is, and you as well, being guitar performer and an acoustic singer, songwriter, and all this kind of stuff. I come from kind of the same background, and it's like, all right, well, how am I going to make money with this? Like real money, because it's like, I lived in California. I think you live up in Boston,
I'm in Boston.
Right? So that's
yeah,
not cheap either. So if you're playing gigs in one of these areas, ladies and gentlemen, you got to do the math. You have to know your numbers. So if you're making $200 or $300 a night playing your guitar, congratulations. That's great money. And at least you're making money doing it. But what's the math on that throughout the course of a month? And what are your expenses? What's your overhead? $200 a night, which, that's not bad at all for a gig.
No.
Times 25 gigs a month, you're making $5,000. I mean, that is literally barely paying the rent and, car insurance or anything, especially in a place like California. So, when we talk about business and a buddy system or a network, we've got to figure out what are my skills and how can I apply it to the people that I know, and how can I level up with my environment and with my network so that I can make more money. And so, well, I love playing gigs and stuff like that. It kind of translated into like what you just heard, theme songs and beats and voiceovers and all this kind of different stuff. And so you coming from a guitar instructor background, which I have no patience for some people, and it's not. The difference between me and the guitar teachers that you roast is I just don't do it because it's just not something I would have any patience with. You know what I'm saying?
But hey, at least like you're honest and like that's not my bag. So
I just don't know that I've had patience.
Have the patience of a saint, I've been told. So
hey, you definitely do. And so where did you go from your singer-songwriter days to saying, hey, okay, I want to open this up into a more scalable, education-based, subscriber platform where I can not only sell courses and lessons and build my personal brand, but make way more money because now there's no ceiling. How did that kind of happen? Because it's different for everybody.
Well, in the beginning, Pat, so I always preface with people, just so everyone knows, I'm a guitar teacher. I don't have a degree in music. I'm just one of those people who's very passionate about music. And I'm mainly a self-taught guitarist. I took some lessons later as an adult, but was just always really moved by music. So I used to be a cancer research scientist. And I went on this cruise that was like a folk festival on a cruise ship. And I was like, I have to do this all the time. I have to do more of this. So I was like, all right, you go to Google and you click in like how to phase out my job so I can do music. Right. And basically went down probably the same road that you went down. It's like, you're gigging. I remember I used to take like a bus up to New York. I'd play a gig and then I'd take like the 1 a.m. but like the last bus back to Boston. My wife, she's my girlfriend at the time, but she used to pick me up at like South Station in Boston at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be at work for 7:30. So we would drive home. Like I would sleep on the bus. I mean, you know how it is when you're a performer. Like you're saying,
Right.
okay, great, you're making a couple $100, but like you're not sleeping, you're not, So I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way to like make some real money as a musician while still performing. So I took up teaching. And, I was really nervous about it in the beginning, like, because I said, I don't have a degree in music. I'm like, I have like literally no qualifications to be teaching other people how to do music, but I need to make money. So I was like, I can teach beginners. That's no problem. So that's how it started. And apparently I was good at it. I didn't know that. Apparently I'm good at teaching. And, my schedule filled up pretty good. And then it got to the point where like, I couldn't take any more people, or, I could have if I wanted to work like 80 hours a week, but that wasn't like why I quit my job. So I was like, okay, how can I make more money without giving up more of my time? And this is where like the scaling comes into play. I'm like, well, I can use someone else's time to make more money. And I give them like a portion of it. So I hired a couple teachers. I had a spare bedroom in the house. I hired one teacher, and he worked like 2 or 3 days. And then I hired another teacher to work the days he wasn't working. And then, my wife and I sat down and have a conversation like, hey, there's a lot of people coming in the house. We probably shouldn't be doing this in the house anymore. So I opened up a commercial location. That was 2012.
And how much did that cost you a month in overhead, just for people that are listening out there? Because that's a huge commitment. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I did the spreadsheet because it was like the worst timing in life because my wife's name is Megan. She went back to school. She's a nurse now. She was going back to school full time. So basically she had no income, and the overhead of the school was essentially almost my entire income. So we were living off of like $2,000 a month. To stop. But I'm like, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. So we opened the school, and then by like the end of, a few months later, we were fine. Because I knew there was a need in the area for a music school. There was no music school, no music lessons in the area. So yeah, I basically went down to like zero all over again. So that's where I started. Like I quit my job. I went down to zero. I built it back up.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to scale. Went back down to zero. Built it back up again. And when you're young and stupid, you can do stuff like that.
Well, and you know what? I literally just watched Tommy Hilfiger on Grant Cardone's page.
Yeah,
And he said the same thing happened to him. Yeah. So this is not something that is just like a one-off thing. We hear this all the way across the board from people, and including Grant in that real estate crash from 2009. I've heard him say many times they were looking at negative numbers and they were getting sued by people. And so these kinds of things are the risks and the growth stages that we have to go through to figure out A, what works, B, what doesn't work, and C, how bad do we really want to be successful?
Yeah. And people ask me all the time, like, who's the first person, like, how do you go hiring someone? I talk to a lot of particularly musicians who teach, and, they're getting burnt out. And I'm like, you got to trust other people. Like you got to hire other people. You got to scale. And now I'm actually at one of my music schools today. So I own 3 music schools now in the Boston area. And I got like 20 something employees, and that's great. And that was scaling, and that was growing, and that's awesome. But then we all know what happened in 2020. The world shut down. And, back in 2017, I basically stopped teaching. So I mostly manage. So I was kind of looking for a little pet project to do. And I'm like, I got to keep myself busy. Hey, maybe I can teach guitar to the world. Like, I don't want to do one-on-one anymore, but
right. And this is where we talk about like an unlimited ceiling.
Yeah. So at that point, what made me stop teaching, and Pat, I know we talked about it earlier before we jumped on, that car had crashed through my building. So that was awesome because it totally prepared me for the pandemic. Like the pandemic was nothing compared to this car crash, because everything I had was in that building. My entire life was in that building, and it got wiped out overnight. So talk about going back down to zero again. But, yeah, so we had the pandemic, and, I wasn't teaching. My schools basically, for the most part, run themselves. I have awesome administrative assistants who do a ton of the work for me. I have great staff. So I was just sitting there going like this, like, I am bored. Right. I was literally like, what do I do? I can't drive to my schools. I can't I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, I'm going to go all in on this YouTube thing, and I'm going to start promoting courses and selling courses online and really pushing this. And all of a sudden I was just like, holy shit.
And so when did you start with the YouTube stuff? Like, was this
Yeah.
last year?
YouTube, I started my channel doing guitar lessons was April of 2017. That's when I first started uploading content, and I maybe had 100 subscribers from when I was using the channel for my performances and stuff like that. So it really wasn't anything to write home about. And then about 2.5 years later in 2019, I all of a sudden noticed that I was getting emails all the time about courses being sold. And I was like, gee, that's weird. I'd sell courses, but not that I would see sales every day. And I was like, something happened. I got to go figure it out. So I went to my website and I saw there was a spike in traffic. And I'm, gee, where's that coming from? And it's YouTube referral. And I'm like, So I went over to YouTube, and turns out one of those videos I did back in 2017, so 2.5 years earlier, all of a sudden started taking off out of nowhere. I think it was just because people commented on it, liked it.
Yeah.
This video literally had nothing that I know you're supposed to do on a YouTube video. It's dark, it's grainy. I have no call to action. It wasn't SEO optimized or anything. I believe it carried solely on comment and engagement. People liking the video, and that a lot of people who watched the video seemed to comment on it. And all of a sudden this video took off.
And that's a lesson for anyone listening. Yeah. I'm really good at interrupting, but you already know that.
I know that.
I want to stop you because I think that so many times we get so fucking caught up in how does it look like. I'm the same way too. So I set up a station in my house that looks consistently the same way every single time. That's fine. But at first, there's nothing wrong with just using your phone or using whatever you have.
What I used.
This is a prime example of one of these situations where she posted something and just took action, and literally years later was seeing the hits on her website. Where the fuck is this coming from? And it's this grainy video. So don't get discouraged. When you're posting and you're just new to the internet and you're scared and it's nerve-wracking and you're not saying the right things, just do it and post it, because you never 100%. Know. So you're getting these referrals and they're converting into sales, correct?
Yeah. And that's really what piqued my interest, because all of a sudden I notice I'm getting sales every day or every other day. And I'm like, Jesus, where's this all coming from? Something has happened. And that's what really sparked when that video took off. And I was like, this could be awesome. This could be awesome, because now you're talking, I tell people all the time, it's you got to find a point when you stop selling your time for money. You want to invest your time once and have it make you money continuously. And that was the proof of concept was when this video took off, because it's one, I'm making money off of the YouTube ads as well for this video. But two, this one video, because people really liked it and it really showcased my teaching style, people were like, yeah, I'm going to go buy this person's course. And then it was okay, cool. So now I'm making thousands of dollars a month in courses because people know who I am. They like my teaching. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome.
Yep.
And now I can teach thousands of people as opposed to 50 or 60 people a week. When you're selling one-on-one time, there's only so much you can do. There's only so many hours.
And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is when you become a guru. This is the guru status that we all wish for. But again, what it comes down to, and I'm so glad that you talked about your gigging days too, is being up all night, playing gigs, going to work the next morning with no sleep, making videos when it potentially looks like dog shit, and not worrying about it, and going after it and going after it and going after it. And now years and years and years and years later, it's 5 years later or so, and she's got 3, music schools, and she's scaling her online courses. Kajabi, you hit 6 figures this year already on Kajabi in 2021, correct?
Yeah, I've already done 6 figures this year, which is pretty phenomenal.
It's amazing. And so again, and promote all these platforms because different shit works for different people, but it's like find something that works for your style and go after it and use these social media platforms to get out there. We found Lauren in our clubhouse room that we do, and it literally she was there every single possible day that we needed her. There were days I'm in another room doing a little rap thing and she's hosting our room. It got to a point we were doing the room so much, we were onboarding a shitload of clients in our agency. And we were like, all right, let's just hit the brakes for a minute here and give it a couple weeks and like zero in on one day that we can blow this thing up real big and like bring like Bradley and like bring some of those people in and have everybody be in on the same conversation. But you don't get to that point without putting in that daily effort every single day.
100%.
And so it's like, don't overlook the effort, folks, but you also have to understand that it doesn't have to look or feel perfect for it to be effective.
Yeah.
And so dialing back, but also dialing forward, you want to be the number one guitar teacher, female guitar teacher on the planet.
That's right.
Online, right? So let's talk about that goal and how you're going to get there.
Well, I think it's important in the beginning when we talk about the earliest stages, and you were just talking about using these social platforms, find the platform that works best for you. Like YouTube and Facebook are my platforms. People are like, why aren't you on TikTok? It's like, I suck at TikTok. And I'm trying to do it now a little bit and figure it out. But I'm like, I want to spend the most time where I'm going to get the most bang for the buck.
Right.
So, it's great to have all these social platforms. You should be on them, but pick the one or two that you're going to learn inside out. And that's what I said about YouTube. I was like, I'm going to learn everything I can about this platform, how to make it work well. And I'm going to apply kind of my business acumen to doing YouTube. So, go back. What was your question? I lost my train of thought.
You're going to be the number one female guitar instructor on the planet. Yes. And so you're touching on how you're going to do that. She's very good at YouTube. If you aren't following Lauren on YouTube, you should. We're actually using Lauren's YouTube course right now because we're super if you follow our show, you know this. We're terribly inconsistent about like uploading our audio and our video. Our community members watch all our shit in the Facebook group, but like, I could probably be better about it. It's also because we do this for free. Unless you're a community member, we literally donate our time to do this. And so we've got a whole agency we run for people and we don't miss a beat with those people. Yeah. But when it comes to what she's doing, building her personal brand, you've got to be really, really consistent. And we are with micro content, but that's really, in my opinion, where you're going to shine. In my opinion, over the next 2 years, your YouTube is going to expand to over 1 million subscribers, which is going to be a lead generation tool to send people to your courses. And so where do you see your courses going? Because you're going to have to adapt the back end of what you sell and maybe even potentially raise the price as you become bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And then that's something, I've been talking with one of my business coaches about saying, okay, it might be time now to raise the price, get a few, less people in, but at a bigger price point. Because I do have a Facebook group that I interact with people, and I do some live, Zoom Q&As. That's part of like a membership system.
Nice.
But yeah, so I mean, and that's it. It's like, okay, how do we grow from here? Because at this point, I could scale this thing up to 10,000 students, and it's like, yeah, but how many of those people am I really going to be able to help? So at some point, there might need to be a VIP price point where people get VIP access to me for a certain amount of money. But I think the big thing in growing this is just getting the attention and focusing on the consistency and really focusing on the content that your viewers want. And something I need to get into more, and I think I have a little bit more clout now that my channel has grown, is doing more collaborations. Like, that's why I reached out to Pat. I'm like, Pat, I want to be on your show because I need to do more things like this. I don't do enough interviews. I don't do enough podcasts to get out there. So this is what I'm trying to work on this year, is kind of expanding my reach by doing, some different interviews with people, different podcasts, getting on shows, going on Clubhouse, and just getting to meet people in different spaces. And for me this year, I'm focusing a lot more on automation in terms of trying to really automate everything within the online platform or delegate it to someone else. Like, Yes, I've done Facebook ads. I actually really like marketing. Marketing is one of my favorite things. But at this point, I have outsourced my Facebook ads because, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's something that I personally don't need to be spending my time on.
Right.
And I think, again, like I said, people are scared to spend the money to take things off their plate. Could I probably do it better? Maybe, maybe not. But my time needs to be used for the most valuable things that are going to grow the business, which is the content.
Right.
So, if I'm, answering support emails, I lost my password. Like, I shouldn't be telling someone how to find their password. That
Right.
goes to the admin. So
Yeah.
those are things I think when we're talking about scaling and growing a business, is people want to do everything. And everyone, all of my mentors were just like, if it's a $10 an hour job and you make $100 an hour, why are you doing it?
Right. Yeah. And I think that can be a hard thing for people. And ladies and gentlemen, we've been there before where we're barely making our rent and stuff too.
Yeah.
And so one thing we've been doing is we write it into our agreements. Obviously, we're more of a service-based business, but at the same time, we're going to be offering a lot of digital courses and stuff moving forward, mainly like social media and chopping and editing and, kind of like a build your own agency kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that everything is in one place and people can select what they want or buy a bundle or whatever. And all of that's handled, because then that also gives people the option to like learn it on their own. If they don't want to hire us or they don't want to spend X amount of thousands of dollars a month for a podcast service, and we actually upload everybody's stuff right after we do it. And I'll get this one up because you're our YouTube person. So Nick, we can't skip on Lauren's YouTube here. We can't be skipping out on uploading this on YouTube. It'll be it's my ass, but we'll make sure we get it up there. So
in expanding and going, what you're saying, offer higher level products and stuff. That's why even my coach that I'm working with, she's like, okay, we got to expand you into consulting for YouTube. We got to get you. She's like, now instead, because music is undervalued. It's underappreciated.
Big time.
But people are always willing to spend more money on something that's business related, that's going to help them make money. So I can make I'm actually in the process of making a full-blown YouTube course. I have a little mini course that Pat's working through right now. But that's going to be a full-blown course. That'll be like $1,000.
Right.
And you sell 20 of those at $1,000. That's $20,000 a month.
And this is where the years of playing gigs and the years of experience pay off, because Lauren has found a way to take her passion for the guitar and turn it into a digital product and turn it into something that she can literally sell an unlimited amount of these courses and make money and do what she loves to do, which is play the guitar. And so she's found a way to use the guitar as not only a device that fulfills her, but as a device that educates others on how to feel good playing it too. And I talk about this a lot, is how can I use music, or how can I use content or entertainment or my personality or my love of entertaining people to help others make more money and help others meet new people and connect people. And that's when I really started to see profits that could support my whole family and get my wife out of her 40-hour-a-week job and like support my kids. And I send my kid to dance school. It's cool. Yeah. It's just cool. And I'm still doing everything I want to do. But I think that there's a separation between just being an artist and doing what you want to do and like coming out with what you want to come out with, and kind of shifting a couple degrees and saying, okay, well, like you said, what am I going to make that's going to benefit my audience? That's the mental shift that's got to happen with whatever skill you have out there. What am I going to do that's going to benefit my audience that I have, but also my potential audience, because there's so much potential out there for customers. And not only do people need guitar lessons, but they need to know how to use YouTube. Right. You might sell more YouTube courses than you ever did anything with guitar.
Oh, it's crazy, because obviously a lot of musicians reach out to me because they see what I'm doing and they're like, how are you doing what you're doing? And it's just like, no one was reaching out to me 4 years ago, but people are reaching out to me on a consistent basis being like, well, what are you doing? So that lets me know that I have now, earned enough attention in the YouTube space for people to be like, well, we value your opinion. You're obviously doing something right. What have you learned? And we talk about gurus,
Right.
on our show, and am I a guru? Who knows? But there's always people who are ahead of you. Thanks for the thumbs up. There's always people who are ahead of you.
There always will
people
be.
who are ahead of you, and I've been in business now. The music schools have been in business almost 10 years now. So I've learned a few things. I've gone through a car crash. I've gone through a global shutdown. I have a couple opinions on things that might, help someone who's just getting started. It's the same with YouTube. There were so many mistakes that I made in the beginning. And I'm like, gee, I wish I knew to do this, because my channel would probably be twice the size it is now.
And that's what's in the mini course. And I'm going to link that whole thing in the description. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in getting that, how much does that cost for your average bear out there?
Yeah. So the mini course, it's $97 for the mini course. And what we go over in that is I go over a lot of like the back end SEO stuff, a lot of the software I use that I think is critical for kind of giving you a little bit of an edge on YouTube. What are the important things to focus on? Because when you're starting on YouTube, it's really overwhelming. And it's like, I really think in the beginning stages, there's like, there's certain components you should really focus in on before you start expanding. And I also talk a little bit about monetization, but not so much in terms of AdSense revenue, because everyone focuses on Google ads, Google ads, Google ads. It's like Google ads is like 10% of what I make from YouTube. I have many sources of income, but most of it comes from selling my own courses. So that's what I encourage people to do, particularly if you're like a teacher, you have something to teach, you have a skill set that you're trying to impart on someone. That's amazing. So those are all the, the kind of nitty gritty things that I go into in the mini courses, kind of like a quick start guide. Like, hey guys, if you want to get started, these are the things you should focus on. These are the videos you should make first. This is, let's figure out who your target audience is. Let's figure out what your channel is exactly going to be about. Because in the beginning, people on YouTube, they're like, I'm going to be a travel vlog and a technology expert, and I'm going to play the piano and, do whatever, make slime. It's like
no, it's true. It's true. And I've noticed this too, even with the stuff that my daughter watches. She watches this girl, her page is called Hello Nastia. I don't know if you've ever seen this page, but
I have not.
I was just surfing on yours. So if you go to YouTube and you look up Lauren Batemen, she's got 75,000 followers. It's all, like you said, it all fits your niche. And this girl does the same thing. She makes these little kid videos. She's got 71.9 million subscribers, and all she does is play with toys with like little dresses on. But it's interesting because I can tell that her dad produces it, because he's like in the videos and like does this and does that. So like I can tell that like dad's the mastermind behind this whole thing. But what I also noticed was, if you go back 2 or 3 years, he's almost using this as a way to like document his playtime with his kid. So I think it kind of just started as him playing with his kid, and then kind of like kids like to watch them play. So now like my kid falls asleep to it at night. And so it's interesting, but it's right along what you said. That's the only thing they post. Just like on your, you have 240 something videos or 270 videos, because I'm pulling it up, but they're all guitar instructional videos. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're building something and you want to target a niche, like our Business and Buds, we only post these episodes. We only post business interviews and chats and whatever kind of bro show topic we're talking about or whatever, because that fits what we promote as entrepreneurs doing the show. And like you said, and I think this is the part where people get caught up, is what's your offer? Like, what's your call to action? When you go to our website, there's clearly a community that you can join to be a part of these and do Q&A or send people questions and get in touch with who we interviewed to interview them. Or it's an awesome give back thing, but there's an investment involved. So I would say for anything, I loved what you said here. Google Ads is only 10%, maybe even less of what you make. You are sending people to your digital products, and you've got an entire curriculum that you're building now to teach people guitar, to teach people YouTube. And I'm sure that'll grow as you move forward, because once you start to hit, 75,000 or 100,000 or 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, I feel like that's like the popping point.
Yeah. I think
like eventually your page is going to be like, boom.
Yeah. Once I crossed the 50,000 mark, things just started go. I'm getting like 8,000 subscribers a month now. I mean, I'm going to be at 100K before the end of the year. It's pretty crazy.
That's great.
But just before the new year, I was maybe only getting 2,000 a month, and now all of a sudden it's like, I don't know. It's just gone insane the past few months. But I think that's very important to reiterate on being specific, because people don't realize. And maybe they do, but there's algorithms. Everything is like a mathematical calculation. Facebook has an algorithm. Instagram has an algorithm. YouTube has an algorithm. And YouTube really values watch time and view time. All right. So if you're posting videos about travel over here, and on the same channel, you're posting videos about electronic software, unless it's electronic software related to travel, the same people are not going to watch that. So you might have 100,000 viewers, but only 50,000 of them will watch this. And that tells YouTube, hey, my own subscribers are not watching my stuff. So this must suck. And it's not that it sucks. It's just your content is not congruent. And that's what happens to, I think, a lot of YouTubers is they're just doing too many things instead of laser focusing. Like I'm starting a whole new YouTube channel because I want to share stuff with people, but I'm not going to put it on my guitar channel because nobody on my guitar channel wants to learn how to grow. Maybe some of them do, but most of them just want to learn how to play the guitar. They don't want to learn how to grow a YouTube channel.
Right.
And the people who want to learn how to grow a YouTube channel probably don't want to learn how to play guitar. So they got to be separate things.
Yeah. I think this is great advice for people that are getting started. Is there's nothing wrong with having multiple channels. We have a separate channel for Business and Buds show, and I post some of the clips up on my page, and I can tag people. I'm sure we'll have clips up on my page, and I can tag you. I can send you clips so that you can upload, because we want to cross-pollinate, or whatever the PC term is, we want our stuff on everybody's pages. You know what I mean? We want to be everywhere, but at the same time, it doesn't help the audience learn more about you if they can't listen to you too. So it's important to kind of find those clips where we bounce off of each other really well and get them out there. And so that's a great way to grow channels too, or to just use social media to get in with the right people. I think sometimes people focus so much on like numbers when they're getting started. No one's watching me and no one's subscribing to me. And it's like, okay, well, if you have 17 subscribers, who are they? Because you could have,
I know, they're your mom, they're your sister, your uncle.
Yeah. I know people that have, 1,100 subscribers on Instagram, and they're billionaires.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily use Instagram.
There's a lot of groups out there that are like sub for subgroups, and that's horrible, because unless the person is actually going to watch your content, like people are like, oh, I'll go subscribe to your channel. I'm like, please don't, unless you're going to watch the videos.
Right.
Like unless you're going to watch the videos, I don't want you to subscribe, because you're actually going to hurt my channel versus help it.
Yeah. And I think that's a hard thing for people to accept. And I think that's what especially is happening on, especially platforms like Clubhouse. We've got people who moderated in rooms for the first couple of months of that app opening. And I was talking to this with a new guy that's coming on with us, who's releasing some rooms. And what we're seeing is, you've got 110,000 followers or what, subscribers or whatever it's called over there. But it's like you open a room and there's a couple hundred people. Yeah. Which is just nuts to me. And so you really want to make sure that the people that you're getting on your channels are people that are watching your stuff. And this happens to me on Instagram too. There's people on my page that follow me from 7 years ago, and I don't know if they even use Instagram. And so some of my stuff is down in the bottom of the gutter. And then sometimes I'll post stuff that gets thousands of views. I have no idea, but I think moving forward with stuff, I'm a lot more intentional about what I'm posting on new channels, especially client channels, because I want it to be congruent with what they're selling and what they're monetizing. And so that's great stuff. So if you could give one piece of advice for people starting not only just a YouTube channel, but starting to produce content that they're passionate about, that they want to monetize with, what would be the best advice you would give those people?
Yeah, the best advice I would give people is just what we were talking about in the beginning. Get started. Get started. You know, fortunately, I am blessed that I'm not a perfectionist. If any of you read, Pat reads my posts and texts when we're talking, I misspell everything 500 different ways. Listen, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. That's okay. We can always go back and fix mistakes. But imagine if I waited for the perfect moment. I had the perfect camera and the right microphone and the perfect lighting. I would have never gotten started. I didn't improve that stuff until like 2 or 3 years down the road. I'm like, okay, the channel's making money now. I'm going to start investing in equipment. I think people believe they have to have the perfect idea in the beginning, and you don't. I think it's just get started, put something out there, and pay attention to what your audience likes and doesn't like. It's just like Facebook. If you get a lot of likes, make another post like that. That's what people want to see. If you post something on Facebook and you get like 2 likes, nobody shares it, you're like, oh, I've done that. I've actually posted stuff on Facebook and been like, nobody's liking this. And I've deleted it and put a new post.
Oh, so have I. And something I've noticed recently is a lot of like the pictures I'm posting with like longer captions and like stories are getting way more hits than like videos that I would think are way more valuable. Yeah. But it just depends on who's clicking on what. I think that people like to read that stuff. They're sitting down, they're scrolling through, they want to read the caption, they want to hear the story.
Right.
And so
that's going to depend on
try it all.
Your
try it all. Right.
Yep. That's it. I find that people like really positive stories or me overcoming stuff, people really like that. But if I post something negative, like, I got some comments, but it doesn't go as far as the positive stuff. So I'm like, so I try and keep my channel way more positive than negative. So test different things, see what people like. They might like video better on your channel. They might like images better. You won't know. You have to test things. And I think that's important. Test, but still be specific about your content in what the topic is about.
Right. And so I think it's great. I think what you're doing is wonderful. Check her out. It's laurenbateman.com. Hit her up if you have any questions. She's very accessible on Instagram. If you shoot her a message, she's happy to help you succeed, not only with your guitar learning, but with your YouTube learning. So if you're asking me, hey, what are the chords on this or that or the other thing, ask Lauren. She probably knows.
Awesome.
But anyway, it's a beautiful thing. Check her out. We are implementing some of her YouTube stuff right now. And so you'll be able to watch this whole episode on our YouTube, and we'll be tagging some of that information so you guys can get in touch with her. And, I highly recommend her. She's smart. She's fun. She's dedicated. And these are people that you need to be around. We don't bring fluffsters on this show. We stick to people that are actually doing it, real operators. And so, Lauren, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us here today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pat. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.